Welcome back to Lancer. We are picking up in the second half of our session recording. In the first half, we saw our pilots very quickly preparing for the incoming MantiCorp advance force, trying to do what they can to set up traps or come up with diversions that might help them once they arrive on planet. We saw CHIMERA setting charges with her wealth of knowledge about iridium alum to plan for the detonation of the mine. We saw COMET rigging up various power systems so that they could turn the turrets back on after they left, making it look like the mine was untouched, or at least not breached. Orion and Rock headed back to the city. Orion headed off to discuss with Torsay. That basically going over what had been discussed in her absence and what COMET had decided the group was going to be doing now, taking a very real face turn in this universe.
What I signed everyone up for,
basically.
What I voluntold what everyone's going to do.
And then our ace pilot Rock here very swiftly achieved his goal of getting to the power station and getting his little offloaded package of Nosei Tolerance, who is a respected engineer who used to work at the power plant, who's going to help him bring the system back online so that it can then be turned back offline in a more explosive manner. As the party was making their preparations and getting ready to see what they could do to prepare, it came to the attention of Torsay, as she was figuring out what their plan was going to be, that MantiCorp has arrived. Mere moments ago, the lead ship of the MantiCorp Advance Fleet has warped in to the edge of the system, a full day early from the estimations. It was thought they were going to be sending ships that would need to use the gate, as free jumping ships are a lot rarer. And, well, it does limit the amount of ships that have arrived. It does appear that there is a single large ship that has arrived, not a full fleet, but it definitely puts a kink in the timing. So we're going to go back down into the scene where they discover this. Orion and Torsay, as you're having a conversation on the bridge of the DBC, you've just found out that MantiCorp has arrived. What do you do from here?
Curse everything out.
Panic!
Torsay, Rock is in the city. I'm going to need you to send a message to him that MantiCorp has arrived a full day early. Everything that we've been planning is going to have to be moved up a full 24 hours. That includes you leaving.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess it's good that I'm ready. You better get off the ship, and I'll leave now.
Okay. I'm going to grab a sandwich on my way out. I'm actually hungry. As Rock leaves the bridge. Or not Rock, as Orion leaves the bridge.
It may be a while until you next have a sandwich.
Very sneaky, sir.
Oh no.
As Rock reveals he was in the bridge the whole time.
He steps out of the shadows, holding a sandwich.
You thought you could eat my lunch.
I go into the fridge, take the sandwich that's labeled to Rock. Leave. No,
all right.
no.
So, Orion, after a brief detour to grab some supplies, you head back down. You get on the Prometheus, and yeah, it is like it's still going to take a full day on sublight, you assume, for the lead ship of the MantiCorp Advanced Fleet to make it to the planet and get in orbit here. But this is sooner than you were hoping. You kind of just open up the side panel, you eject the Prometheus, and as you're leaving, as you are simultaneously leaving the spaceport, the DBC is also taking off. And Rock, that's why I wanted to pause you where you were. As you're making your way back from the power plant to get some more supplies for Nose, you're glancing around and you're keeping track of your surroundings, and you see the DBC taking off from the spaceport.
Did Torsay send him the message? That is what I asked her to do.
Yep. As it is lifting off into the air, you get a shortwave kind of. It's not like a two-way communication. It's like one of those like dispatch communications. You can respond if you want to still, but it's just from the DBC. And it is simultaneously like it's like as you open it, it appears on two of your screens. To your left, a image that is a readout of the scans of the system that shows a ship having entered the system. And on the right, a message from Torsay that says, "Looks like the party started early. I have to leave now. Orion said we're starting right now."
Okay. I just kind of look at it and go, well, fuck. And then keep doing what I'm doing.
All right. Yeah, you head back to the Lev sled. There are various other things here. They are smaller than the one thing you brought, so you're going to be able to grab either you can get the computer banks or you can get the 3 tubes. You're going to have to make at least 2 more trips.
Okay. I don't know if it matters, so I'll just grab the computer bank, I guess.
Cool.
Then...
Yeah, you're going to go ahead and take that back. Do you do anything? Do you change what you're doing in any way? Or are you kind of like keeping to the same schedule, timetable, and cadence you were previously?
I don't have anything to change yet.
Okay.
So at the moment, no, this is the plan. Deviating from it would cause more problems.
That's what I would expect from Rock. You get underway, you get your job going, you know what your timetables are, you know how long you expected to get this done, so you keep on it. You get your supplies back to the power plant. As you make your second drop off here, you have to get Nose's attention to know like what to do with the computer banks that you brought with you. He is still working on the cooling systems. He directs you to basically a server room, and he has you help. So this is going to take a little bit more of your time here, as he's going to need the strength of your mech to kind of lift it onto the tracks and slide it back into place. It is not very hard. It's not even as hard as getting the coolant back in place was. It is literally like almost like getting a jaw back on track and then just sliding it in. But after you do that, he takes some more of the tools that you brought back for him and gets to work reattaching all the various electronics. While you're here, he does give you an update. He says, well, after you make the final trip, it shouldn't take him more than maybe 5 hours to get everything reconnected.
Well, that's good. And then the plant will be ready.
That's correct.
Then maybe we'll start on phase 2.
All right. And Orion, as you leave the DBC, where are you going?
Orion is going. Orion is going to send a shortwave message to Roxette that just says, returning to camp. Rock probably know what that means, and then Orion is going to quickly but safely return to the camp as soon as possible.
Yeah, and that's going to take a majority, that's going to take the rest of the day. You're going to get there after midnight, basically, to get back there at this point. Rock, you keep at it. The time it takes him to get out of the city is basically the time it takes you to keep going. You get the last drop off you need to the power plant. Nose takes a look at it and he just kind of nods agreeably. He's like, okay, this is everything I need to finish up the job here. What do you want to do about the iridium?
Rock?
What, that was to me?
Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about someone else.
No. This is Nose. After you bring him the remaining things he needs for getting the plant back online, he's ready to continue working where he is. And he asks you, Rock. He looks up at your mech. He's like, okay, well, what do you want to do about the iridium alum?
Well, the idea was to increase the yield of the explosion, ideally. So
yeah, I'm just are you gonna go get that now, or are we gonna come back tomorrow and do this? How are we gonna set this up?
I don't remember if we've just decided how to do that, and I don't know if we have time now.
You do know that based off of the plans you were given by Joyce, the iridium alum stockpile is in the city, and you have the access codes to get to it. You just have to make the decision of how you are going to get that iridium alum from stockpile to the power plant and when.
Okay. Can we repair some of the beacons and activate one of them as a distraction to cover us to get the alloy?
You can totally try. That's something that's within options.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I was asking. No, say that.
I will go away and come back as someone else.
I mean, did you work on these beacons? Do you know anything about them?
I think I can figure them out. It's still going to take me some time to work on the plant here. If you want to, pitch in and help here, do you know much about computers engineering?
Enough to be dangerous, I suppose.
He shrugs a little bit and says, "Well, I mean, if you need me to take a look at one of them resonators, I can see if what it needs is something simple. I can probably get it back online for you."
Trying to decide if I want to take the sled over to the iridium or not ahead of time. I guess where is the stockpile located?
The stockpile is located on the south part of Flussdelta. You're kind of to the east. Imagine that if the city is kind of like a circle, the northeast of the city is about where the spaceport is. The east is where the power plant is. The south is where the stockpile is. And you guys left the city going northwest-ish to get to the mountains.
So the sled's on the northwestern side.
The northwest side of the city is where you left the sled, yes.
Okay. Then I think I'm going to take that and get that to the stockpile for now, get it loaded up and ready.
Okay.
I'm assuming if I take it around, that should be easier.
Yes.
Safer.
It is safer and costs more time. You know that with the route you would run with the sled attached to you, getting from the northwest part of the city to the southern part of the city is going to take about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. And
I will do that then.
You're safe getting out of the city. You're by yourself now. You're not escorting anything. You have all the data that the mapping that COMET did earlier in this mission. So you're able to get out of the city without any problems. You get the sled. And you know that Nose is ready to just keep working at the power plant for the next 5 hours or so. So, like, while he's doing that, you're getting all this done. It is going late, though, and Rock is probably getting a little tired. You started this day hiking out to the mine, engaging in combat and mines, dashing as quickly as you could back to the mining base, picking up Nose, escorting him to the city, and you've been basically lugging hard cargo in your mech for the last 4 or 5 hours. It is getting towards night. It is dark in the city, which doesn't make it any harder for you getting around the beasts, but it is just a little bit odder because it is this large, empty, fully modern city that just there is not a single light on in the whole place. And you're just kind of skirting around the outside. It almost, in some ways, it looks a little post-apocalyptic as you're kind of skirting around in a large circle around Flussdelta to get to its southern side. Anything you want to do, Rock?
If I feel like I need to, I'll use the stimulant that I have.
Okay. If you're gonna keep pushing yourself through the night into the next morning, you'll probably need to use it to make sure you're not taking any unnecessary risks with your attention and piloting. But just piloting late into the night is okay, and it's gonna be maybe 1-2 in the morning by the time you get to the sled to the southern side of the city.
Okay.
So you can decide then what you're gonna do from there.
Yep. I will.
I want to flash back to COMET and CHIMERA. You have made your way with Concern and Valet back from the mine. You have rigged the mine, as far as you're aware, to explode nice and good. As you get out of range, you reactivate the turrets to make it look like the mine's defenses are still up. If at least not very badly damaged. And what are you guys doing as you head back towards the mining camp?
Shooting the breeze.
I think I would like to talk about what we should do for our remaining time. What would make the most sense in terms of building defenses, getting ready. I'm trying to word this in such a way, not knowing the information we know because we don't know it yet. About the early arrival, I feel like everyone will say something are we all ready to make a quick skedaddle once the ships arrive? Are we ready to load up? Those kind of questions.
Casper will just say, "Look, I know that this might be a little hectic, and you guys are placing a lot of trust in us, but trust me, if there's one thing I can guarantee." If we can just make it to the edge of the system, they'll never be able to follow us.
For a sec, I thought he was going to say, everything will go according to plan. And I'm like, that'd be some real cruel irony right there.
Don't worry. Everything is exactly according to plan. You get back to base. Orion arrives. Everything is off of plan.
Plans have been changed. Oh no!
But in all seriousness, I'll ask okay, so what do we have to do? So we just recite the plan, and not just as a background for people I don't know, Chuck, who are just trying to remember how everything works. Is we're gonna try to hold them off until the ships arrive, and then we just load up everyone's remaining gear. The base is empty. We cheese it, and hopefully MantiCorp doesn't follow us, I guess.
Yes. The big plan is primarily deception and defense. You're going to try and make them run in circles as much as you can, waste as much time and effort and money of theirs as you can. Any wild goose chase is acceptable. Anything you can do to squeeze extra days out of them will get you valuable time to wait out until the evacuation ship arrives. If it comes down to a fight, Casper makes no qualms about it. It's like, if it comes down to it, I will fight MantiCorp to get these colonists off world. But let's hope that if it comes to that, it will be a tired, weakened version of their force after we do as much guerrilla warfare as is possible.
Well, truth be told, I think my biggest concern is, like, even if we do manage to hold them off, like, what's stopping them from shooting us out of the sky as we escape? Like, I hope we have some good shields on these ships.
Yes. The plan is that I don't think they're going to be able to. They won't know that the colony ship is evacuating until we're leaving.
Gotcha.
By then, it will be too late for them to react in time.
We called in. We have access to some things, and let's just say the one problem we're going to run into is the power it takes to get a ship off of planet and to break into orbit is the only time they're going to be able to detect our ship.
You have cloaking tech?
Well, kind of.
All right, well, I guess I'll just have to see for myself when the time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't mind a little dramatic suspense.
Our ships, let's just say our ships run real cold. When they're monitoring for heat signatures, the only time we're going to make a blip in their systems is when we're trying to break atmosphere.
Silent running.
Yeah.
When the hull's on fire.
I mean, it's not running if it's not working. I'm gonna regret asking this, Astro, but speaking of dramatic effect, you already know for a fact that I haven't seen any of your movies, but is there anything in any of your movies that could apply to this situation? Like, anything we can do to, like, any ideas we can hold stuff up, assuming they're realistic? I mean, I'm making no assumptions about your movies, but I'm just saying, like, any ideas we can kind of draw on here to hold things off.
Now that you mentioned it, I did a movie.
Keep it under 5 minutes.
Well, I did a film where I played the rebel leader of a workers' union that escaped a labor camp, kind of similar to this situation. And at the climactic scene, I gave an inspiring speech when everyone was at their lowest, and we all stormed the gates and made it out. Perhaps I could give a speech to everyone and raise their spirits.
You're useless, is what you're telling me. Okay, well, that was worth a shot.
I almost won an Oscar for that speech. I could recite it word for word.
The Oscar has survived for hundreds
I
of
was going to
years.
say, all things that survived.
But it's completely divorced from what the Oscar used to be. Like, Oscar is now just an acronym for something that is like some very marketable space. Yeah, it's like some very marketable, brandable thing. It's just the word survived.
Tell me it's a hot dog.
It's shaped like a hot dog.
Yes. The Oscar Mayer Wiener Award.
I like outer space carrier anomaly.
I was going to ask COMET what the movie of his was that is basically just the 18,000th remake of Seven Samurai.
Basically, yeah. They just keep adding more numbers. and it becomes less impressive, because it went from 7 samurai to 50 space cowboys. But anyway, so well, if you don't think a speech will do,
I'm thinking more like subterfuge.
Well, I mean, we already have plans to distract MantiCorp once they arrive. With the power plant and the mines. If we could just deviate them from their course, if we could draw some of them into the city, and they're certainly going to be checking the mine. We know that for sure. So that'll be rigged to blow. We just have to keep them occupied.
Yeah, I
don't know what. Are you? I don't know. Are you suggesting something more is needed, Evelene? Maybe some kind of undercover assignment?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're implying. I was just thinking that we got a day to kill. I think I might be able to whip up with something in that period of time. Something small, but I mean, better something than nothing.
Oh, we could put our heads together and think about it.
Yeah, we got. I'm sorry for saying this, but we got a whole day ahead of us. We can figure something out.
We have a whole 24 hours, as I understand it.
Yeah,
and I have received no information that would make me think otherwise.
Dun dun dun.
Cut away.
Well, let's
the
just
dramatic
get back
irony in this scene is only slightly undercut by the fact that COMET is hamming it up.
His hamming ability is so powerful, he can predict the future.
His new type ability is that he hams it up so hard he's accidentally acting out future scenes.
Oh, dear Lord.
His sense of dramatic irony can be used to predict the future.
Okay, let's steer away from Lady in the Water a little bit. So,
I think we're done with the scene.
Yes.
The only thing I'll add as we talk is, I think we should just make sure, just double check the fortifications we have going on at base. Because if worst case scenario, they stumble upon the base, it needs to be defensible as possible.
Yeah, that's a good instinct. Mm-hmm.
So that would be my first priority.
Okay, and those are largely perimeter defenses and some of the kind of like remote like way stops, kind of like in the trails between here and the city, that various like emplacements, weapon emplacements are set up on. From previous conversations with Concern that they have been slowly bleeding those because the resonators have been used offensively to make the city inhospitable. The kind of like backup gun emplacements have been taking the brunt of the damage from the megafauna of the planet are just kind of wrecking shit.
Right.
So what I will say is that you do know where maybe those repairs would be most useful because because the plan was to have Torsay transmit data back to MantiCorp about like where things were and weren't. If you can shore up some of the defenses in areas where they think the defenses are failing, that will probably serve you best.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan.
All right. And then I imagine you'll need to get supplies. And I mean, you guys were in a heated combat this morning. You probably want to get some repairs and some sort of rest in before continuing on the rest of this.
After all, we have 24 hours. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Orion, you're also heading to the mining camp at this point, just from the city side, right? And Rock, you're kind of working till late in the morning. I want to, from here, zoom out and talk to the players a little bit instead of the pilots. So from here, MantiCorp is arriving. And what I think makes the most sense is talking about, on a whole, how you guys are affecting a defense and deception plan so that we don't necessarily have to do the down to the minute, where do you go here, where do you place this resonator, like let's just go over that in kind of like a tactics overview view. How do you buy time for these 7 days, and where those things fail and where they succeed is where we'll zoom in. So let's talk as a group about what you guys are doing.
Okay, sounds good.
So, one thing I kind of been chewing on is, so I got this chunk of iridium that I got from the mines, and assuming we have the time to do this, I was told, like, if there's like a way to like boost the signal, like I imagine they have some sort of scanner that checks this. There's some way to detect that like there's a chunk of iridium alloy or an amount of it. Like, if there's a way to make this seem like there's a lot of this stuff, and like put it into like a big truck or something and have it just literally drive in the opposite direction, that could, like, there probably could send some people to chase after that.
Okay.
And I don't know how long it would last, but...
So what you're getting at is like trying to make it look like a stockpile of iridium alum on the planet is being moved somewhere and using that as bait. Okay.
A Trojan horse, if you will.
Now, here's where I'm going to start talking about like the mechanics of what we want to do here. So I talked about us using some downtime action abilities as kind of like inspiration for what we're going to do from here. So if you all take a look at what those actions are, I think we can frame some of these things you're doing as these downtime actions and the one that like leaps right off the page in what we're doing here is buy some time. Because that is ultimately what you're doing. Now, some of the other things like repairing defenses and things like that can also be things like scrounge and barter to get gears or assets, or get creative to try to make something new, things like that. But Charles, if you want this kind of distraction ploy, I'm going to give all of you like a big plan to enact to try and buy time. And then when we get to the end of you guys enacting the plans to try and buy time, we're going to see how effective they were. And that is going to determine basically how strong MantiCorp is by the time they are ready to basically push on you in full, and whether or not you can escape without getting into a fight, essentially. So, Charles, does that mean you want to start?
I think so, unless people have like a really good idea that might be better use of our resources.
It might also be worth it to discuss as a group, like, what are our plans? Like, the two giant assets that you guys have on the table right now are your two largest successes, which is you took the mine and rigged it to blow, and you have set up the reactor in the city to be a diversion / explosion. So Rock, for example, like if you want to make your role the actually setting up the iridium and planning the opportune moment to like lure them in and like blow up a large part of their force, like that might be an idea for you. Or like who wants to be in charge of like diverting them towards the mine and like getting them like completely hoodwinked into like investigating the mine and then turning out that it's not useful. You know what I mean? Like these are things that you've already succeeded at, so you're going to get a bonus for using those as well on top of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say right now that is my plan. And nothing has changed to the point where I'm doing it and expecting to hear nothing before MantiCorp arrives and I have to start enacting it.
So how do you are you initially attracting them to the power plant?
I don't think I need to do anything special for that, to be completely honest with you.
You made a good case for that in a previous episode where you specifically said, like, listen, the city is down. Like, if they arrive in the city and the power plant is operational, like, the first thing they're going to want to do is get things online and find out what happened here.
Yeah.
Like, it makes a lot of sense that the power plant would need to be investigated.
Okay.
And
sense.
if they don't all come, then so be it. I'd rather it be natural than give off anything or make any kind of, like, tell into what's going on. So
that makes sense. As far as the mines, like, I imagine they want to check the mines, but just in case they aren't doing that right away or soon enough, I think there should be some way to make sure they're going off to check into the mines, so we can have that happen as well.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they're aware something's up, before they even start heading to the mines, they might be more cautious. So I'm just thinking, but they're gonna think the tricky thing is they're gonna think our crew basically has beat it. Like, we're out of here.
Yes. As far as your team is aware, until you're spotted on planet by a scout or an observer who can get a message back to MantiCorp, as far as you're aware, based off of how the plan was set up, MantiCorp thinks the DBC, including its crew, has left the system.
Yeah. So that rolls out like us contacting them directly as ourselves. But we could still probably think of other ways to contact them or mislead them. Chuck, what about like, maybe we can combine your plan to, like, have some sort of convoy with making sure they also investigate the mine. Like, maybe you have a convoy leaving the mine or something like that.
That's an idea. Well, actually, that only implies that, like, so the whole plot around the mine was the fact that we never got inside.
Well,
so
that's true. Yeah. That
convoy leaving, it seems like we were actually there and just totally
we're just
goods.
hauling the ore out of the mine.
Yeah.
With laser fire coming behind us, missiles and all that. Because the turrets are active now. Right?
Yeah,
the turrets, were reactivated by COMET as you left their firing range, essentially.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of, like, if they do figure out that we're at the this bunker that we're hiding out in, like, maybe when they arrive, we could say, like, we could build this narrative of saying that, oh crap, the MantiCorp's here, let's get out of here, and then they would see the truck leaving. Or the convoy, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, even if it doesn't have that much, like, iridium alum on it or whatever, just like the fact that there's some sort of convoy going somewhere could distract them.
I suppose that's
true. The problem of someone has to be on the convoy.
I mean, I'm sure we can, like, remotely pilot it. I mean, I would imagine we have the technology for that kind of thing.
Does anyone have a brick?
Yeah, there you go.
That's as low tech as we need to get.
I mean, come on.
Man, they're going fast.
Considering what kind of discs the data was on, I think a brick is just as effective.
Whoa, they just ran over a tree.
So
okay, 2 bricks.
So I'm also going to start giving you guys some context because, like, as it makes sense to, like, I'd like you guys to coordinate and come up with, like, what are your delaying and distracting actions over the next week to try and buy as much time and kind of like cut into and deplete their forces as much as possible. And we'll see how effective those are. And they can be deployed at any time it feels the most appropriate. But what you all do know is that eventually Orion gets to the mining camp, informs his other 2 team members that the timetables have been moved up.
A little bit.
And over the next day, a ship comes into orbit. Luckily, your new ally, Casper, knows this ship. Or at least knows the fleet that the ship is from. He recognizes its signals immediately, and he'll explain to you all that it appears to be the newest flagship for the Novus Innovare fleet. It is like a first response fleet by by MantiCorp. It was likely sent here as a test. He believes that is how lowly they think of this problem. From what he knows of the Novus Innovare fleet, it is where they test out all of their new warfare tech and toys. This ship must be their new state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line ship. Probably why such a large ship has a system jump loaded into it, because the larger the ship is, the more powerful and the more energy costly having a system in it to jump between systems is, which kind of limits the type of ships that normally have it to a very middle of the road ship, because normally very small ships are too small to have that kind of energy source in them, and usually very large ships are so prohibitively large that it would be crazy amounts of power to use that kind of jump system. So the DBC kind of falls right in the sweet spot. The kind of ship that is in orbit over the planet right now is huge. It is a capital size ship. And he explains that if he had to guess, there are probably somewhere between 3 and 5 full lances on that ship. He is not sure if they are all like, led by a lancer full group, or if they have some drone contingents, or what the makeup of these systems are, but generally that type of capital ship can field 5 lances worth of mechs.
Oh,
Interesting.
good.
Lucky us.
What a coincidence. We're also 3 to 5 lances.
Well, you're 3 to 5 mechs. A lance is a group of mechs.
Oh,
you
never
are
mind.
1 lance.
I forgot the terminology.
Yep.
And a half. 1.5.
That is very true. You do have 2 very skilled mech pilots from the Noblesse of Fair that are on your side as well.
I got an idea. We take their ship. So crazy it might work.
I actually thought about that.
That would be that. You know what? That would be. Would that be a whole new arc for this? Would I have
Probably
Joyride?
Taking the flagship of the Novus Innovare? Man, that's. I mean, if that's what you
ambitious.
decide to do, I'll have to play it out. So we'll see what happens.
Like, I'm actually serious when it says, rather than wait this, whatever number of days for the convoy, why don't we just take their ship as the convoy?
Chuck, we have one problem. The DBC is no longer on the planet. How do we get up?
Yeah.
Let's figure that out. Yeah, I know.
All right. So what we
need a
do
slingshot.
is we
Build a giant
strap
catapult.
Chuck's mech onto a rocket. You're gonna ram it head first and just cut through the side and take them out from the inside.
Solo incursion.
I like it. Can't go wrong.
God, that would be interesting.
We'll make that plan C. So we let's try to figure out something else. But
That
plan C.
high on the list?
Yeah, that is pretty high.
Okay. Plan D.
Okay, now you're being reasonable.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to buying us some time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking about like how we can sort of draw at least a contingent of them over to the mines. And one idea is maybe we can stage an attack on the mine. We already attacked the mine and got in, but we can make it look like we're just attacking now. Send a small group over there, shoot off some weapons so their readings pick it up or something. And they're like, uh-oh, the mine's being attacked by the colonists. We better get over there and get that situation under control.
I mean,
How's
they're
that?
already going to check out the mines as it is because it's securing the mines is one of their top priorities.
So do you think like it's not even like I shouldn't worry about that then? Like they're just probably going to
I think that they're probably going to send maybe one full Lance team to secure the mines on its own.
Okay.
And with all of the destruction we already laid out and the active systems, I think on its own, it's probably good because whatever goes in there is going to get blown the fuck up anyways.
This is true.
So
Okay.
I think at least the mines are already a success. And I think we're kind of overthinking that a little bit.
Okay.
I think it'd be better to focus on breadth versus depth. Let's try to figure out more ways to keep them busy rather than like building on existing ones.
Because
That makes sense.
I like my idea of getting at least one sonic resonator set up that can be turned on whenever one group approaches, like whatever our designated area is, so that they can fight the local fauna like we have.
Yeah, let's throw some bees at them.
Wasps, acid shooting bugs, whatever they are.
Space wasps.
The terror flies.
Yes. The evil bugs from, heck.
All right.
From heck.
Well,
I mean, that's like essentially my guerrilla tactic here. I'm not just going to let them get in and then blow up the reactor. I was planning on setting up the resonators to have them go off around them and or like to take out a full Lance unit with the resonators and then try to get more in as in a second wave.
yeah, and we're going to basically look at the narrative around each role and how successful it is as like individual things. So I'd like you all to kind of like figure out what your major ploy is going to be. And like I'm going to use full like what makes sense. So some of these things you do might be more effective than others by orders of magnitude. We'll just have to see how they play out, and what it does is what it does. But I just want to see what you guys are doing with the time you have available to you.
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
who like we're going to kind of like handle this as kind of what we would see in almost like cutaway montages of the various skirmishes and encounters and like Ocean's 11 style plots going off on the planet as this advances. So I will tell you the first thing that happens as the ship enters orbit is you can't miss it. All of you know it's happened because it is a worldwide broadcast sent to everywhere all at once from the ship. It has audio and visual data. So if what you have plays video, it does that. But you also notice back in the mining camp that the same message is coming across the various radios and loudspeakers around the camp too. It is an older kind of pausing and stopping and starting, like it's a masculine voice. Sounds very like it's very pausing. As you get the video feeds, there is a what looks to be what you would imagine, especially for you, Rock, to be like an old like military officer. Perhaps he is a retired military officer. He's very hawkish. His brow is drawn into a permanent furrow. He wears his MantiCorp uniform, which, while being a company uniform, he wears with all the stiffness and starchedness, as if it was a full naval officer's uniform. He stands upright with his hands behind his back, staring like deadpan straight ahead of him into the camera as he makes an announcement to all the people on the planet. My name is Keto Armbar, and I am the fleet commander of the Novus Univare. You all know that this planet rightfully belongs to MantiCorp, and as such, acting against us means you are all, well, lawless savages. I don't need to do anything but wrangle you all back into your cages. You've all done more than enough damage that I don't think anyone would bat an eye at what happens to you. But luckily for you, I am a kind man. And if you stop this futile struggle, I will allow you all to return to your lives in Flussdelta. And with the gracious patronage of MantiCorp, we will help you rebuild and start your repayment of lost property. Normally, I would give you mere moments to offer your unconditional acceptance of our terms, as gracious as they are. But as I said, I am a kind man. You have 2 hours. And then the feed cuts off.
Wow, he is a friendly guy.
If he was truly a kind man, he would have put one of Astro's movies on instead of that speech.
Something I agree on.
Wait, they're better than that?
Some of them.
Are you kidding?
Like,
I don't think that guy's ever done an audition in his life. The delivery was all off.
I mean,
he's definitely inflection.
He's definitely hamming it up right there. I mean, seriously, like, did he really have to say he's kind multiple times? Like, we weren't convinced he wasn't already?
Well, yeah, bad writing, too.
We'll leave him some clip notes on the way out. How's that?
Cliff notes?
Okay, not clip notes, I'm sorry.
Who's Cliff?
Who's Cliff? And what are Pyre's notes so important?
Positive feedback.
I only have negative feedback for him.
So,
well, that gives us 2 hours to ensure whatever plans we have go through, or at least to prepare. I hope you guys are ready.
Is everyone back at the
You
base
guys,
at this point?
you guys can have been in communication at this point. I don't know, Rock, you'll have to tell me. Have you returned to the mining camp after you moved the iridium? Like, I also need to know a little bit about what you were planning so that we can talk about, like, the timing of how things play out.
I am guessing that I've been working throughout the night with Nose.
Probably burning them stims as well then.
Yep. We would have set up and distributed the iridium to increase the yield best we can, repaired and remoted as many of the resonators as we could, if nothing else, the ones on the side of the spaceport.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would. Is the sled like something that he can drive like a truck, or does it have to be pulled?
It is something that is not as fast as you unless it is towed, but it can move on its own. It's like it's like max speed is like 25 miles per hour.
All right, I'll give him the option to take that back or to stay here with me. Then.
Oh, he's leaving. He is a huge coward.
That's fine.
Yeah, he wants to be as far away as possible. He heard that same speech come over like the intercoms in the power plant at the same time. Like it played everywhere.
All right, and then I'll just tell him, keep it light, go slow if you have to, don't show up on any of their scans, whatever you got to do to keep the power minimum, that kind of thing, which I think he knows.
Oh yeah. He nods at you. He oddly keeps looking at you and doesn't really say anything. He keeps looking at you oddly before he leaves, though.
I also hand him a smart scope. You can use this to scout out to see if someone's trying to get closer to you, help you out best you can. I won't need it here.
He nods appreciatively. Yeah. And then he nods and goes off to the sled.
Yeah. All right, and then I probably camp myself inside one of the buildings to where I can see them coming,
okay,
and be able to start working this and do what I'm good at.
Yeah, basically doing the equivalent of being the conductor. So I imagine that Rock has been out of contact then.
Yeah. Oh, strictly.
So you three have only had each other to talk to about your combining plans.
Yep, that's why I've not said a thing. I trust them to do what they need to do, and hope that they trust that I know what to do.
Okay. And importantly, it definitely is the city that happens first. Rock, you got in just under the wire as you are completing the final stages of your setup, getting various sonic resonators equipped. You are able to get 2 of them online, one in the industrial area near the power plant and one in the residential area leading towards kind of like the edges of the industrial area leading away from the center of the city. Those were the 2 areas that were mostly undamaged and just needed basically a new power supply. So you were able to get those fixed. Mm-hmm. And you have successfully, as far as you're aware, rigged the iridium alum to the power plant. And you imagine that whole district will go up now when you trigger it.
Okay, and I do have a remote trigger for it. I assume.
The last
Nosei
thing,
set that up.
Yeah, the last thing that Nosei kind of worked on for you was making sure that the kind of server racks that you got in place there, he was able to basically set up in the system a bunch of basically commands that will go off all at once when you send it a single code phrase. And it will simultaneously overcharge all the reactors. And you two together have basically set the iridium alum in places that will be closest to where the explosions of the power plant are when it explodes so that they can explode.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's talk about what kind of role this is going to be. Buy some time. Makes a lot of sense. But I am willing to hear arguments for any of the other ones.
Like as skill triggers again?
Well,
Or-
so if you look at downtime actions, because we're using these as kind of like a way to go through the montage of what
I
we're
see.
doing.
There was a place in ComCon they had this. Is that they
Oh,
take that
so
off?
it changed. I had such a hard time finding it. In ComCon, if you go to Compendium and then Action Economy, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, it goes per turn, and then like reactions.
Oh, wow.
And then at the very bottom, there is downtime actions.
Ooh, man, they hide that.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy some time, of course. Yeah, that's probably the closest when it comes to just downtime action. I mean, you look at power at a cost, and it's like it makes sense, sort of, but like a reverse power at a cost. Like
Yes.
they're losing power at a cost.
And we can totally go the route of interpreting that way as well. If we need to scrounge and barter based off of what some of the people back in the mining camp do, scrounge and barter might make sense to like get things to help you against a MantiCorp when they come. But like, I think it's pretty clear that the thing you're doing is buying some time, right?
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
Hopefully they're all there and it buys all the time.
Yeah. Rock, you get prepared as things start. And already things are a little bit different than you're expecting. You expect them to send some scouts down to get things ready. And in a sense, they do. You expect drop ships. You know that, in the military, the kind of like pod ships are kind of like the standard to take a full group of lancers into combat. And generally, they'll either fire them from atmosphere or the pod ship itself will break atmosphere and kind of drop them off. You see what almost looks like a star shower above you. You look up, and it's a bunch of tiny dots just like flaring up in the atmosphere. It almost looks like a comet shower heading towards the city.
About 25 of them?
I'd say, that's, it's funny. That's kind of about the amount I was thinking. As you look out your kind of your holdout spot, what ends up arriving above the city doesn't look quite the same configuration as what you expected. You see a bunch of not quite humanoid machines that kind of swarm and move almost like a flock of birds. Various mechanical devices, larger barely than like a lawnmower, like a riding lawnmower. They're all like slightly larger than a riding lawnmower. And they seem to be moving in almost like a swarm or like a flock, like a bunch of birds. They are casting over the area. And they start to break off. Little bits of the swarm will go one place or another place or duck around a building or like move through various like pathways in between buildings. The odd thing that you notice is that, yes, they do provoke some of the megafauna in the city. And they're extremely deadly. there are a couple of times when a stray one of these devices will stray into an area that is a little bit more compact with creatures and will invoke the ire of a small swarm of terrorflies. And what you see happen systematically over and over is a small swarm of terrorflies will get after one of these, and a whole subsection of 10 of the other drones will break off from the swarm and basically do like the dogfighting maneuver of like, oh, you're behind one of us, and now we all get behind you and shoot you out of the sky. And they are basically tearing up the terrorflies with, I wouldn't call it small arms fire, but I would call it like various high rate like machine gun fire is what it appears like. These small bit like independent operating drones are unlike anything you've seen in your time in the military. They're operating almost as if under the will of a single controller and moving like a single organism.
Yeah. I figured. I don't think there's any way I can. Yeah, there's no way I can like trace that back or anything, huh?
You can try. Tell me what you're doing.
I mean, I'd love to trace the signal back to where it's coming from, but
okay. Yeah, I mean that's totally a thing you can do, and this doesn't have to be part of your role to see the outcome of your sabotage. This can be a separate pilot role. You just have to tell me what you'd be attempting and how you're doing it.
I assumed. I see. That's the thing. Is like I don't know how that works. I have a sensor range, and if it's outside that, would I be able to tell? Or
okay,
can I like triangulate because there's multiple of them? Maybe.
Yes. So here's the thing: if you're using your sensor range and doing like your tech attack ability that is literally just like a scan or something, we would just follow the in the book rules for doing the action scanning something. Which you can totally do if that's what you want to do. If what you want to do is specifically like take an action to do like a skill, like, and you can tell like in the same area where we're looking at the downtime actions, you'll notice that a full action you can do is just skill check, right? And basically you can make a skill check as a full action. And that just involves you telling me, just like a normal pilot roll, what you're trying to do. I tell you what the risks of failure are. We determine if you have any bonuses or downsides that will reduce your roll, and then we roll it.
Yeah, I want to try to triangulate like where they're coming from because I'm assuming they're outside of my sensor range, but I would like to try that.
Okay.
See, like just like pick one or two and find out where the feed is coming from.
Yeah, and especially is like they're spreading out over the area, and you're very hard to find. So there's very likely a chance where they get closer to you, and not necessarily like in range for you to scan them completely or do like a tech attack on them, but like close enough that you'd be able to like contact them or see them on the IFF reader or something like that. And so you're using like what scant data you have that's coming in. Now, I don't believe this is one of the things that you're specifically like better at, unfortunately.
Not really, no.
Okay. So, what you can do is you can make a pilot skill check. There is, I'm going to tell you, so I'm going to kind of hack this rule a little bit. There are 2 stages of information you can learn. So I'm not calling this risky, but there is something you'll get between 10 and 19 and something else you'll get for 20 and above.
Sure. Okay. I'm not even. There's no triggers I think that work here unless I can charm these robots.
No, unfortunately, you don't have like an enhancement suite, and you're not Astro.
Sure. So just pilot grit roll.
This sounds like it's going to be a flat pilot roll, and just see where it lays.
I got an 11.
Hey, there we go. An 11. That's enough to get some info here. Here's what you get because they are projecting an IFF signal. They are all projecting the same signal. And the signal they're projecting is odd because it is like the signal projected by an MC. But all of them have the exact same signal. Mm-hmm. And there is normally information associated with that. And you get all of that information, which is the pilot name and their call sign. These are drones being piloted somehow, somewhere, by someone in an MC. Their name is Melissa Honora, call sign Buzz.
Okay. I don't get like a direction for where it's coming from or anything.
You get the direction of the drones. I won't give you the information you would get on a 20+, but I will give you that it is odd that you feel like them being operated this effectively would mean that their operator would have to be also within range somewhere.
Right. That's kind of what I'm assuming at this point now.
Right. When what I'm getting at is like you would find it odd that you didn't find that information.
Okay. Shit. How many? Do I know how many drones there are? You said like 25.
About 25. I'm sorry. The full information you get is that the pilot is squad leader Melissa Honora, call sign Buzz.
Oh, okay.
I forgot you get the rank if they're part of like an organized group as well. All right. I mean, you still have your plan set up. You can still take action on that if you would like. If there is more you want to do leading up to or leading away from that, we can discuss that as well. But you just let me know what Rock would do and what you would like to do and how you would like to see this scene play out.
Can do any of the Terraflies get any attacks on the drones? Can I tell how strong they are?
You can tell that the drones are taking a page out of your book a little bit. They're extremely hard to hit. In the time you watch them, you probably only see one get scored a hit on by a Terrafly. From that, you can tell that they are sturdier than a normal drone would be, but not as strong as an MC by far. Like a hardy piece of equipment, basically, is upon the level that they would be.
Okay. I'll give it a little bit of time. Where do the drones go? Are they just over the entire city? That's a big range.
No. They are staying relatively close together because when one is in trouble, they will double back to assist it. They almost, like I said, they move kind of like a flock of birds. So just scale that up by like 15, right? So like. If you imagine a flock of birds, imagine that space times 15 because they're about 15 times larger than birds or something. You know what I mean? Like just scale that analogy up, and that's about the amount of area they're covering.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have a good way to deal with this at the moment, so I'm just keeping an eye on them.
Okay. And they are investigating the city. It does seem like they are going through the areas that you figured like a group of investigators or like a scout group would be investigating the city, including they are headed generally in the direction of the power plant.
Okay.
They're like scanning down the roads in between basically the spaceport and the power plant. They descended over top of the spaceport and are moving their way southeast through the city towards the power plant.
All right, I'm gonna activate one of the beacons, the one that's like a little bit closer to me, just for like about 10 seconds, and then turn it off again to see what they do.
A group of 3 of them do divert to check the area. Like immediately. Like as soon as like power of some sort starts to move in the city, 3 of them divert, head towards the beacon. The creatures in the area like start to get riled up, but the resonator isn't on long enough to like create a migration or anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't have any good way to deal with this, so yeah, I can't really stop them. They'll move in further, and then once they get further away, I'll activate it again, I guess. Just toy with them for a little bit.
All right. Yeah. And it takes them some time. Like you turn one on and then like see them jet over an area. They examine what the megafauna is doing. You see it turn off. They disperse. And that works like 3 times. And then the next time you do it, they ignore it completely.
About how far away are they?
From you, from the power plant, or from the resonators?
From me.
From you, I'd say they're like a few city blocks away and like many floors higher than you in the sky. Like they like if there's various like 5-story buildings in the area you're in, they'd be where like a 10-story building roof is.
Okay.
But when they investigate something, they do come down to about roof level.
This is stupid, but I can't let them get there. So, are they within range of my rifles?
They would probably be within range of your rifle. How long is your range for your rifle?
20.
If you wait for the opportune moment when they're flying through your range, most of them will be within range for a limited amount of time. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I want to get their attention by taking a shot and then immediately hiding in the different buildings.
Okay. Yeah, we can try that. So yeah, as they're making their way along, you sight the flock heading past over your area. They are doing their weird, almost like moving like a wave kind of flying V pattern. You take aim at one of them, and this is going to be your actual shot from your mech. So go ahead and roll up your rifle.
Okay. Let's see. Gotta add up all my stuff again. Yeah, I'll of course like steady my aim and everything too.
Of course. You can basically get the best shot you can get here.
Yeah, I'm doing it from hidden, so I think that's 2, right?
Sure.
2 accuracy.
Well, hidden just gives another accuracy. So if you had an accuracy, then that's +1.
Yeah. Well, the steadying my aim does that.
Right. So accuracy. 1 + 1. Yeah, totally.
And then my weapon has an accuracy, so I've got 3 accuracy +1.
And then just to kind of baseline everything out now, I'm going to assume over this time you've all vented and gone down to 0 heat. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to say all of you are currently at 0 heat. And then let's just call it out right now. I want to know the people back at the mining camp. And Rock, I don't know if maybe you had some time. Do any of you repair? Like leading up to this, has any repairing happened?
I do not. And not only that, Dyne has actively tried to maintain the charge of his big cannon from the previous battle.
Okay.
I'm going to use my last repair capacity to heal up all the way.
Okay. So Rock is at full HP going into the start of this.
Yeah.
I'm also going to be spending one of my repair caps.
All right. So
I won't be.
Chimera, you're back to full health at the cost of one of your repair. You all dumped heat. I'm going to tell you, Orion, that this has been over a day, and you continuously basically trying to keep that charge up over this extended period of time is going to take a toll on your mech.
All right. In that case, I'll just let the charges go. Dyne wouldn't
So
let
hot
it.
you could fry an egg on it.
So hot you would destroy the egg. There wouldn't be an egg.
So hot, the floor might melt.
Dyne wouldn't let that risk happen. I don't think.
Okay.
Even in this situation.
There's a chance that if you start getting like a smart system in place in the future, we might be willing to re-examine whether or not you're able to do that. But
something
it's
other
just,
than Dyne regulating it.
It's just over that period of time. There are limits to what materials can handle.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, everyone dumped heat. Chimera and Rock have healed. So let's pick it up from there. Rock, go ahead.
All right, rolling my shot. It is a 22.
22 will hit, and obviously it's above 20.
That means it's a crit, and when I crit, I can call out a target and hit one of their. I can make like a called shot with it. So I'm gonna do what is a headshot. They only have line of sight to adjacent spaces for the one that I hit.
Assuming it survives.
So basically,
Yeah.
you instantly scramble its like sensor systems with your shot.
Right. Dealing 7 damage.
7 total.
Mm-hmm.
And that is armor piercing, correct?
It is.
Yes. So it doesn't matter actually, because you have shot it out of the sky. It just explodes into parts. And you will notice very interestingly, like the few seconds you have to like observe before you take cover and make sure you aren't seen. As soon as one of the flock is destroyed, all the rest of them fan out in such uniformity. It's almost like a single thing being pulled outwards. Like it's almost like, when you pull on threads and they all pull out at the same exact time, or like, those little like physics balls that are all scrunched up, and when you pull them out, they turn into those big balls.
Yep.
Like they separate from each other in that kind of way, that swiftly.
I'm going to then move to a new area, hide, and activate like the resonators.
Okay.
Like, as many as I can.
All right. Yeah, you turn them on, and just that starts to cause chaos in the city. If you leave them on, the creatures start getting drawn out of their dens and pulled to the resonators, definitely filling up those districts. The industrial district and the residential district closest to the power plant are kind of getting overrun a little bit with the megafauna. The remaining kind of like sensor drone screen sweeps over the area. It is doing very odd series of maneuvers. You'll notice now they're flying in various different patterns, and they are doing different things. How are you monitoring like what directions they're going and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm paying close attention.
All right. You will notice that they like note where they got shot at, and none of them returns to the area from which the original one was shot. It's almost like that part of the sky has been marked out by them as like a no-fly zone in some ways.
Okay. I'm going to start making my way through the city, avoiding them best I can, to get to like a new part of the city.
Okay.
And repeat the process. Take one out and then move on.
Okay. And now we've already seen you do this successfully once, so I think we're not going to belabor the point here and make this part of the ongoing narrative. You continue this process, and I think that this ties into your ultimate goal here. You tell me, like, what are you trying to achieve with these drones here? Are you trying to take them all out? Are you trying to get them to go away? Like, what's your stated goal for this?
I am going to now create a net around the power plant of no-fly zone for them.
Got you. Okay.
And I will lower and then turn off the resonators after the shots have been fired for a little while.
Okay. And so I am actually going to make this your role, which is actually very interesting that it went in this direction, and you'll see why. But we're going to call this your buy some time. You are basically doing a cat and mouse routine, trying to keep these drones from investigating the power plant, protecting it in many ways. When you buy some time, you try to stave off a reckoning, extended window of opportunity, or just buy some time and breathing room for your group, which is, well, exactly what you're doing. So you've described your plan, so now it's time to roll. What are you going to call upon for your buy some time roll?
Show off. Assault, definitely. And potentially get somewhere quickly, but that one's up to you, I guess.
All right.
I don't know. They're all up to you, of course, but.
So we're just going to take a look here. So the only thing I am on the edge about is assault and show off. Both in their own way make sense, but using them together, I'm not sure is much more effective than just using one or the other, because you're not doing anything on top of one that adds to the other. So I might ask you to just take the +4 from assault here, since that's your higher bonus.
Sure.
What I will give you, though, and this is because how it played out is advantageous to you, you're taking, so if you're taking advantage of a narrative conceit that is advantageous, it makes sense for you to get a bonus for that. So because you're exploiting something that is particularly their weakness, I'm giving you accuracy on the roll.
Okay.
So this is going to be a D20 +4 plus D6 for your accuracy.
Pilot grit making it 5, right? Pilot grit.
Yeah, skills. Yeah. We're gonna have to double check that later, but let's say yes for now.
Okay. And then is get somewhere quickly added in, or no?
No, it's just going to be the +4 from assault.
Okay. That's a 17.
17. So, for 17, in the buy some time action, anywhere between a 10 and a 19 is you buy enough time, but the situation becomes precarious or desperate. The next time you get this result for the same situation, you treat it as a 9 or less. Ultimately, what we're saying here, Jay, is that you do this, but the situation becomes precarious. And the reason it becomes precarious is because the drones leave, and basically nearly on top of your location, you see a pod ship entering. But the drones never fully leave. They pull back to above the space station. And when the dropship of new lance appears, you see various MantiCorp MCs leaving the spaceport, now being given cover and scouted for by those drones. So they have a little bit more forward warning about what they're getting into, but you have drawn down an actual lance to the planet rather than it being just these drones.
Gotcha. All right.
All right. And then here's the thing. What we're going to go immediately into is the effect of what you accomplished at the power station. This isn't your downtime roll. You already use that for your drones. I did tell you guys have two very useful assets, and that is that you successfully did the power plant and the mine, as far as you're aware. Rock, as the kind of split out and move through the city, surprisingly, you working so hard to keep the drones away from the power plant seems to have indicated to this lance that's exactly where they want to go.
Yep.
And escorted by these drones, this lance of 4 MCs makes their way through the city meticulously, taking out small pods of various wildlife, but they are not drawn in by your resonator plot. Because they are so focused on the power plant at this point. They take a route that goes around them, knowing that they are there because of the drones. But they do arrive at the power plant.
Including the mech with the drones?
You don't know.
I guess I wouldn't know that.
You know that there are 4 MCs escorted by about 22, maybe 21 drones.
That's good enough. Yeah, I'll once I'm sure that they're like inside and everything, and I'm at a somewhat safe distance, I'm already trying to head out of there. I'll detonate.
And the scene you see is...
Oh, I don't look at it. You don't look at the explosion behind you. Come on.
Of course not.
Come on, guys.
Of course not.
The scene the viewers of this show see is a inferno. The iridium alum creates an explosion of a sort that in some ways looks almost otherworldly, hellish in some ways. The iridium alum burns a very bright, very sudden green whenever is ignited. And in a way, when this power plant goes up, this initial fireball sends this lance scattering back, but not quicker than this giant fell flame of green explodes out of that quarter of the city, taking, as far as you're aware, them and everything they were escorting out, as well as that entire sector. 1/4 of Flussdelta is now a crater, and there is no response from the lance that went to investigate. All the drones that accompanied them have been destroyed. And based off of the estimations that you have for Casper, the fighting force of MantiCorp has been reduced by a full 1/5.
Well,
not you,
yeah.
but the people watching.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those drones were the problem. Glad those got taken care of, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully they don't have more of those drones.
Why? Why'd you have to say that?
Spoiler.
You know what? I regret nothing.
And with this small but powerful victory against MantiCorp, we're going to call it an end to this session. You have a long road from here holding out these remaining 5 days, but this is a strong first strike, starting off on the right foot. Let's hope you can keep it up if you're going to get off of this planet alive.
No problem. Nothing ever goes wrong for us.
Nope, there's nothing. There's no problems here.
It's gonna go off without a hitch.
Okay, and now it's my turn to say. Why would you say that?
And
It's
by
my turn.
it going off, I mean lots of explosions with us in the middle of it, so. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that every Astro Jamin movie ever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was gonna be my question.
That's what makes it exciting.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll follow up with these brand new MantiCorp guerrillas and see how they continue the fight in our next session.
Woo!
Bye.
Started off
See ya.
strong. Let's keep it going.